In this crazy, unwonderful PC world in which we're all forced to live in, once in a while you see something, hear something that gives you a glimmer of hope that even on the other side, they're beginning to understand that maybe they've taken things just a little bit too far, and maybe things are just a little out of hand, and maybe it's their side that created the problem. Hi, it's Pastor Marty from the Afternoon Drive. Welcome to the Monday edition. Tom Hanks is out on his press junket promoting his brand new movie, which will be released next Friday, Toy Story 4. Let me just pause right here. I love the Toy Story franchise. When my kids were little, we took them to see Toy Story 1, Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3. I'm not here to review the movie Toy Story 4. I have not seen it. Can't give you any spoilers because I don't know what the spoilers are. But Tom Hanks was recently on Jimmy Kimmel Live promoting Toy Story 4. And it was interesting that both Tom Hanks and Jimmy Kimmel, you know, the guy that doesn't seem to be able to do an opening monologue or comedic routine anymore without just making every punchline about how evil Donald Trump and the conservatives who support him are. But yet, they actually had a moment random of comedy, sanity, logic, and common sense. As Tom Hanks pointed out, that Disney is getting a little bit PC in their promotion of Toy Story 4 and the characters involved in the story itself.
I don't want to ruin anything by talking about it. I already feel like maybe you've revealed some things you shouldn't reveal.
Okay. It's funny you should mention that because I think I did.
Oh, okay, good.
Because
all right.
Everybody, I have these talking points that Disney gives you at the beginning of the press junket thing, and these things are like Gutenberg Bible stuff. I mean, look how many times I've studied them. They've come across.
So you're not.
I spilled some tomato juice on it at one point. There is one thing. They also give you sample questions.
Oh, really?
Which you have yet to ask, my friend.
I'm sorry. They didn't give them to me.
This is both for me and Tim Allen, Tom Hanks and Tim Allen. Can you talk about how Buzz is learning to listen to his inner voice? Okay.
What?
Right, all right. And here's a sample question, and I'm still waiting. Who does Woody reunite with, parentheses, Bo?
Uh-huh.
Bo Peep should be described as a strong character from the beginning. Her recent experience perhaps made her stronger, but she was never a weak character.
Oh, my God. Wow, that's what it says right here. Wow.
There it is. Toy Story thing. Now, do you know how many executives right now want to kick my ass because I brought this out? They have an entire division over there that's called Disney Corporate Vertical Integration Marketing Division. And they spent years. Honestly, they worked on these things that
I've received a similar document.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. And how seriously do you study them when you?
I laughed really hard at it, and then I never looked at it again.
Oh. I love that. Bo Peep is to be portrayed as a strong character. You do understand that there are a group of somebodies that sat in a room, many of whom have very expensive degrees, very well educated in media, communication, psychology, and they actually had discussions on a fictional character who has been around. How long has little Bo Peep rhyme been around? 150, 200 years? Having discussions that she should not be portrayed as a weak female, but as a strong, decisive woman. Grown adults had this conversation. Grown adults are wondering, are we showing way too much testosterone in the franchise of Toy Story with Woody and Buzz and even Rex the dinosaur, that somehow, some way, they're getting themselves all bent sideways, that Bo Peep and Jessie and the female characters must be portrayed as not Me Too victims, but for the strong women that they are. What was great, though, was the fact that Tom Hanks is looking at this going, you got to be kidding me. Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah, I looked at it and threw it out. Now, you know these guys are your classic Hollywood liberals. But yet, these are the same type of Hollywood liberals, and I won't accuse them directly, but these are the same type of Hollywood liberals that knew all about Harvey Weinstein and didn't say anything because Harvey Weinstein could further their career. But once it finally got out what a perverse pig he was and the way he liked to womanize and fondle and touch, kind of like a particular Democratic candidate running for president right now. Did I really just go there? You know, and Me Too people are always to be believed. And then, of course, then they could out Harvey and talk about how uncomfortable he made them and blah, 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 blah. They're your typical Hollywood liberals. And they all go to the same parties. They all hold the same basic political ideals and philosophies. And yet, at the end of the day, there is still a little shred of logic and common sense and normalcy still intact there. That, for me, is encouraging, especially as a pastor. You like to know that some people do see a little bit of the light. That said, get ready, because this is only the tip of the iceberg and only the beginning. We are going to see that PC message now even in cartoons and children's fare. And you parents, especially you parents of young children, don't just leave your kids parked in front of whether it's Nickelodeon, the Disney Channel, or television programs that you feel, well, they're geared for children. Do you know what those programs are actually teaching your children? Do you know what type of philosophy, worldview, gender roles, etc. are being taught to your kids? Do you know if traditionalism is being reinforced in the fare that you are exposing your kids to, or is it being challenged, ridiculed, mocked, revisionist history? You need to pay attention. Grandparents, you need to be aware. You need to be able to sit down with your adult children who are raising kids and saying, hey, look, have you really thought about the philosophy, the ideology that your kids are being exposed to? This isn't just entertainment. For example, have any of you paid any attention that Warner Brothers, in its cartoon division, for at least a decade or more, has not shown Yosemite Sam, you know, that wild cowboy, you know, good blasted varmint? Yosemite Sam is no longer pictured wearing a gun. Now, what kind of cowboy didn't wear a gun? Yosemite Sam would show up, you know, in the saloon, and off would go the guns, and, you know, he'd call, whether it was Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, whoever it was that he was having the conflict with in that particular cartoon, why, you know, good long-eared varmint? Well, that's not PC anymore. And we certainly can't have Yosemite Sam with a 6-shooter at his side. After all, he might go into a schoolyard and start shooting the place up. See, this is the liberal insanity mindset. And so you need to start understanding what it is that your kids are being exposed to, what it is that they're being programmed. And then, of course, there are politically correct cartoons out there like Captain Planet, who's here to save the planet. You think the Green New Deal is going to start being fed subliminally to your kids through the cartoons, the movies, and the television programs they watch? Of course it is. That's how Hollywood has always introduced change. And yes, some change through the years has been very necessary. And it was great when Hollywood began to look around and say, you know what, we really could use a couple of black people on television. You think? I'm sure that there are black families out there that would like to turn on the television or go to the movies and actually see people they can relate to. You think? But you understand that is now crossing realms into, well, the social conscious now, the politically correct, the social justice mentality. Get ready for the sitcom of the two transgenders raising a child. Get ready now. It's going to be time to have that in movie fare and in cartoons and not just the alternate lifestyles being promoted as, well, we have to be behind this, we have to promote this, we have to advocate for this, but even farting cows and every other nonsense that they're promoting in the Green New Deal, that's how they will start spoon feeding it to children, to the preteens, to the teens, so that even if we are able to hang on here in 2020 and keep some things sane in our politics, you do know that 2024 is coming. And imagine what 2028 is going to be like. The more we keep allowing not simply the educational department, but Hollywood and its entertainment division designed for kids and preteens and teenagers, what they're feeding their minds. Even the kids that grow up in the homes of traditional core values and patriotism and love America and work ethic. Yet the music they listen to, YouTube and Hulu and Netflix and Amazon streaming, all of the entertainment venues that touch them. This is why conservatives, traditionalists, need to really be involved, not just in making YouTube videos like this, but we're preaching to the choir oftentimes here. And the few libloons that do turn our way get mad, get bent out of shape, and, have nasty things to say. And that's okay. I welcome it. Bring it, baby. But who is it that with the conservative message is reaching children? The preteens, the teenagers, the college young people, in a language they speak. I'm not talking about, I think it's great that Rush Limbaugh did his whole Rush Revere book series. That's great. That's awesome. Does anybody besides homeschool kids read it? And I'm not being mean here. But how is it being promoted? How is it being marketed? If it's simply just Rush talking about it on his radio show, then how does it actually get into the hands of public school kids, the everyday kids? You see what I'm saying? We need to control some media outlets of our own. It isn't enough just to have an influence and a voice here on YouTube and within social media platforms. We need to be creating some social media platforms. We need to be creating channels like Netflix, and not dry and boring. Christian television for a long time was really pretty predictable. It would be a guy preaching. Okay. Then eventually they mixed a little music in it. Or they would do hymns and you would watch sailboats and clouds floating in the sky. And of course, people are channel surfing going, ugh. And I said for years, when is Christian television going to give us sitcoms? When is Christian television going to give us dramas and movies? Well, they've picked it up in the movie department. We've got Pure Flix out there. And there have been some really good Christian movies that have even made their way onto HBO. Movies like Facing the Giants. Great movie. Great story. Well acted. Well put together. But we, not just as Christians, but as conservatives, as traditionalists who love America, where's our message being promoted to the next generation? That is an area that the liberals and the progressives are running circles around us. At one time, Hollywood was actually fairly conservative as far as the material it put out. Now, the lifestyles those people lived, even back in the 1920s and 30s, would make us blush even today. But the studio heads and the movies being put out were pro-traditional, pro-America. I'm not talking about going in and conquering Hollywood. I'm talking about it's time to create our own platforms, our own media outlets, and market them in a way that kids get it, that kids will listen to it, that kids will receive it. Who's the conservative hip-hop artist? Now, some of you can shake your head and say, well, back in my day, well, it isn't that day anymore. And by the way, I'm an oldies DJ, so I get it. I love 50s and early 60s stuff. But I also understand my targeted audience is probably not 15 years old. Do I have some teenagers that listen? Oh yeah, they still like that music. But I know where the bulk of my audience is. I know the age group of the bulk of my audience. And if I was trying to do a program formatted to reaching young people on a mass level, the music would have to change, the format would have to be different. There are some incredibly creative guys here on YouTube that are trying to reach the generation behind me and the generation behind them. And that is awesome, but we need more of that. And parents and grandparents, you need to be paying attention to what your kids and grandkids are watching, the entertainment that they are being exposed to, that they are absorbing. Because even kids in good homes that have been raised right, it's a battle. It's a battle because of what they're being fed and taught and reprogrammed in America's public school classrooms, and you know how I feel about that. Don't get me on that soapbox today. Now bring in the entertainment value and ask yourself, do these kids stand a chance with the onslaught coming against them? So my question again is, what are you going to do about it? That's it. That is my rant for today. Thank you so much for tuning our way. Make sure you've subscribed to the channel, smack the bell to get notification of my next rant, and please spread this video. Put it up on your Facebook page, put it up on your social media platforms. Get the word out that we're here. Thank you.